Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Fair Play. Fair Play is an American erotic thriller that tells the story of Emily and Luke, a couple who are deeply in love with each other but are forced to keep their relationship a secret due to policies at the hedge fund firm that they work at. Things seem to go well for the two after Luke proposes one day and Emily hears a rumor that Luke will be getting a promotion. However, it turns out that Emily will in fact be the one promoted and not Luke. This sets off a slow chain reaction of events as growing jealousy and toxicity builds between the two to a fever pitch and threatens to unravel far more than their relationship. This is easily one of the best thrillers of the year and a possible candidate for one of the best movies of the year in general. The captivating dynamic of the main characters, the intense atmosphere conveyed with its cutthroat environments, and rich themes of power and gender contribute to a riveting and tragic story of two characters finding themselves at war with each other. Emily is played by Phoebe Denever, who does an amazing job playing this unsuspecting woman who suddenly finds herself higher up the totem pole. Her shock is understandable, but she's able to shake it off and remain confident in her abilities even as she faces pressure from male coworkers, and it's inspiring to see her in action. For me, it took a while for her to stand out more as a character, especially because it seemed like Luke was going to be the main character at first. But once things got going and she started becoming more affected by Luke's actions, she became a lot more sympathetic. And the way she maintains her commanding presence while trying to be a supportive partner for Luke in spite of this is just awesome. Luke, who's played by Alden Ehrenreich, was another great character, albeit in a much different way from Emily. He struggles to accept not only being rejected for promotion, but that he's passed over in favor of Emily. He feels completely emasculated, and at first it's sad to see what he goes through. As events proceed though, he becomes much more distant and even sinister toward Emily, and I love seeing him transform in this regard. Rather than be almost instantaneous, it slowly takes its time, showing him go through the 5 stages of grief in a believable manner. He becomes a total gaslighting prick, and while I didn't feel sorry for him, I did understand where he was coming from. Out of all the pairs of lead characters I've seen in a movie this year, these two have the absolute best chemistry of all of them. The gradual separation between these two is fascinating to see, as they go from being head over heels in love to practically being at each other's throats. It's a slow domino effect where everything gets progressively worse. Emily tries her hardest to support Luke and make him happy, yet his jealousy eventually gets the best of him and he acts more and more cold towards her. It's a toxic dynamic, but it isn't like that until the seed is planted with Emily's promotion, and it's compelling with how it grows. A lot of it centers on the gender dynamics of the two, which I thought was one of the best things about this movie. Luke feels threatened that he, as a man, can't obtain the same thing as Emily, who's a woman, no matter how hard he tries. He tries everything from self-help courses, to making bold moves at work, to being more direct with his boss, and it is nerve-wracking. Not only does this backfire repeatedly and make him increasingly more desperate, but it also puts more pressure on Emily to exercise her leadership. It's sort of a reversal, where in trying to be more assertive, Luke ends up being, quote, less of a man compared to Emily. Speaking of Emily, she learns to embrace her femininity to her advantage, as she becomes more assured of her abilities at work, is able to deflect derogatory comments from male employees, and becomes more antagonistic towards Luke's behavior. It was great to see her take more and more control over her situation, while still trying to be a supportive partner toward Luke where she could. She still deals with female expectations as well, between being told to dress prettier by Luke, or dealing with her overbearing mother regarding her engagement party. Honestly, I could go on and on about all the gender dynamics at play in this video alone, and I just love that there's so much detail in this one aspect. But that isn't even the end of it. The movie is considered an erotic thriller, and as such it features a number of steamy scenes between the two, despite the doomed nature of the relationship. What I enjoy the most about these scenes is that they don't feel like they're there for the sake of smutty entertainment, but rather that they reinforce both Emily's confidence and Luke's desperation. They tie into the power struggle that both characters have between themselves. The two start off passionate for each other, and once the divide starts forming between them, it takes more effort for one to initiate with the other, especially toward the end. They use sex as a way to establish dominance, and it's a powerful way of emphasizing the growing distance between them. The thriller aspect of this movie is just as good too, with its tense atmosphere being conveyed by the escalating events between the two and the culture of the hedge fund firm that they work at. This latter aspect was another one that I adored, because it highlights so many themes surrounding the two characters in an interesting way. The way Emily gets credit for Luke's work, the pressure to go out for drinks with the company men, and the boss Campbell's dismissive comments toward both characters creates even more hostility between the leads. No matter where they go, toxicity follows them everywhere, and the way both characters are transformed by it is sublime. Emily is forced to become soulless like the corporation she works for, while Luke tries to emotionally appeal to his boss to give him a chance, which simply isn't how things work. Luke is unable to adjust to this dog-eat-dog world, and seeing him go off the rails toward the end and bringing his personal troubles to work made the suspense almost palpable with how intense it was. The supporting characters are excellent with how they add to each character's stances. Eddie Marsan is amazing as the callous and uncaring Boss Campbell, but I also like seeing other characters like Rory being flirty with Emily, or Paul encouraging her to go out for drinks. They all enhance the aspects of power and dominance the story has going for it. Additionally, they also add to the scathing commentary the movie has on the issue of work-life balance, with how hard people work to get what they want, and yet never get it. It's an unfortunate reality that many people have to deal with, and it's heartbreaking to see how it affects Emily and Luke. The very nature of their job forces them to drift apart. It isn't even about loyalty as much as it is about numbers and results, something that Emily has and Luke doesn't. Both of them work hard, but for different underlying reasons, where the former wants to make a better living for her future marriage, and the latter simply wants to have power and recognition. And that's the main theme beyond everything else this movie has to offer, is just how much revolves around power. Characters want to control others, take control from them, and end up losing control at the hands of others. If characters have a reason to one-up someone, they'll do it if it means surviving another day at the firm, and this further reinforces the tension of the story. Of course, it's not just about the firm either. Emily and Luke's relationship is the core of everything that happens in the story, with how Emily tries to help and Luke tries to control. And in the end, Emily realizes she can't help because Luke can't even control himself, and it's this point that makes the relationship so absorbing to experience. Even the movie's aesthetics are great with how they show the rift between Emily and Luke. The urban scenery adds a sinister energy to the story, with Emily's settings being more modern and tidy, while Luke's more unkempt and disorganized, and accurately shows the modes of thought that each character finds themselves in. Pretty much everything about its technical presentation is on point. The ambient soundtrack underlays almost every scene with a dark mood, and the cinematography is brilliant with how it uses slow pans between characters to convey tension, or between the reflections to communicate their thoughts without having them say anything. The toxicity between Emily and Luke builds to an incredible finale that wraps everything up in a succinct way. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I just love how connected to the beginning of the movie, and showing how characters, for better or worse, finally realize where their place is, and that it's a lot different from where they started. Overall, Fair Play is a fantastic thriller that shows how toxicity can foster in a relationship when power becomes an obsession, and does so with flair and confidence. If you like erotic thrillers with psychological elements and multiple themes behind them, you gotta watch this one. It is a must-see. For me, everything about this movie just works, from the chemistry of the characters, to its stylish presentation, to the multiple themes wrapped within its intense story of characters vying for control. Not everything that happens to people is fair, but sometimes, especially in the case of this movie's characters, that's for the best. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap up my review of Fair Play. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the Swedish horror movie, The Conference. Bye bye!